Hello, everyone. Welcome to the night show. I've got my friend Nick Breau here with me. I love to say his name, Nick Breau. We met through my friend Jen Graneman, who was part of his collective 1.0, and he's launched
1.0. Yeah.
The collective 2.0 is coming out, soon, right? This month.
Yeah, it literally launched like 2 days ago. Kind of like it's like a slow trickle launch. I haven't even mentioned it on my mailing list yet or anything. So yeah, we're taking it nice and smooth and building something amazing as always.
I love it. Well, so we'll have links to all that stuff. I'm super excited to share it with our community. I know it's why don't you give people a little background into you and why you started the collective 1.0 and what the 2.0 is.
Yeah, that could be a long story, so I'll keep it brief. So my background is tech. I did 10 years in tech in the startup world. When I was in high school, my goal was to be part of a successful startup and to be acquired and retire by the time I hit 30. Went through a number of startup failures, which is part of the journey. But those eventually led to lessons and growth and expansion that finally led to the acquisition. Didn't make it by the time I hit 30. I was 32, but I was close. So that gave me the freedom to kind of step away from the tech world and really dive deeply into my bigger passion, which is personal development, self-help, spiritual self-help. I've done a lot of Abraham Hicks work. I've been in the hot seat over a dozen times with Abe. Now my girlfriend or my partner, girlfriend's not the right word, but my partner, fiance, life, whatever you want to call it. She's amazing. And now she channels in the exact same way that Esther does. We were sitting in one of the seminars once and she was actually hearing the words a split second before they were coming out of Esther's mouth, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But now that I have my own personal hot seat at home, I get to channel 3 or 4 times a week, which is awesome. So for me, I've had a lot of success in the law of attraction world. I've had multiple 7-figure manifestations. And the one-on-one work kind of got limiting because, of course, you can only work with a certain amount of people at a time, right? So that led to launching the collective. That was back, I believe, in mid-2019. And that grew to 700 members, turned into a facilitator training, a whole bunch of stuff. Then a few years ago, I took a step back, had some family stuff that needed my energy more than my business. Didn't shut it down completely, but enough to kind of take a little bit of a breather. And now we're launching what I call Collective 2.0 on the Circle platform, which is even more exciting. I can't think of a better time to be launching than now. When I look at the landscape of reality today, the world is a very different place than it was 5 years ago. Nobody would deny that. And I think that...
What happened?
Yeah, where do we start? But really, it's a call to go deeper within ourselves, to shed a lot more of what we need to shed to raise our vibration so that, of course, we can step into the new earth reality in a way where we're creating a reality that serves humanity more than it ever has.
Love that. And so when people go to the collective, what do they get? What's a snapshot of, especially like this next one? What's it?
Yeah, there's 3 core pillars to the collective. Core pillar 1 is community. So when I look at my journey, if somebody were to ask me, Nick, what was it that you did that led to you having these high-level results that you've had? And yeah, I did gazillions of trainings and took lots of courses and stuff, but the biggest key contributor was people. It was being able to talk to the right people at the right time, who could point out my blind spots, who had the life experiences to show me what I needed to look at vibrationally or what I needed to do next to elevate myself. So the first and the core and the most important part of the collective is the community. It's interacting every day in the Circle platform, where you get to connect with all these like-minded folks, healers, all these different types of people who are on the path of expansion, on the leading edge. There's live calls every 2 weeks too. That's for the hot seats with me. So the second pillar is what I call co-creation. So there's community, co-creation, and conscious evolution. Co-creation is the fun stuff. It's shifting realities. It's working through your blocks. It's uprooting your own blind spots and your limitations. That's mostly done through live calls every couple of weeks with me, mostly hot seat work. I do a little bit of teaching sometimes at the start. Right now, for the month of November, we're going to step into the theme of overcoming lack and scarcity, which is a big theme in reality right now. A lot of people are healing those patterns. And then conscious evolution, the third pillar is all about the evolution of the planet, right? We've got Bashar talking about open contact coming in a year. We're seeing, the telepathy tapes being released and what's possible there. So humanity itself is transitioning from, let's say, Homo sapien to Homo galacticus, or whatever you want to call the next iteration of human. Like, it's literally the most exciting time to be alive because we are bridging into and integrating our spiritual selves. So we can't leave that out of the equation. So there's so many exciting things going on, but those are the three foundational aspects of Collective 2.0. And that's why I'm so excited about it, because it just feels so well-rounded.
Yeah, that's such an exciting time to be alive. And that's the whole kind of the timing also for Unite, and what we're doing is like the Homo Galacticus, or whatever you want to call it. It's not just space, it's actually inner space. It's our consciousness, and the things that I've heard of how some of these advanced beings travel, a lot of it is consciousness based. It's going through portals. It's like a ship that's AI that it's connected to your consciousness. That it's a lot. It's you can't really. Bashar talks about that. You can't really like get far out of your solar system without an elevated consciousness, because it's just too far. You can't, like, you physically.
It's not a physical journey in that way.
Not a physical thing. And so I feel like, I don't know when it's going to be, but within the next 50 years, humanity is going to shift from like money and physical is the most important thing to inner state is the most important thing. And it's like, we're both on that. We're both super early on that train of both trying to like, pitch it that like, hey guys, this is a great idea. Maybe we should focus here. And then like, oh, how do we actually do that? Like, I think that's where a lot of us are like, how do we?
I think where people struggle is like the integration part, right? And like all of this work, it's all inner work, right? Where people struggle is, and I was there at one point, it was reading book after book after book, accumulating all of this head knowledge, right? But there's a difference between intellectual understanding and actually integrating what you're learning, right? And integrating's the tougher part, because like if you look at weight loss as an example, if somebody wants to lose weight, they know, there's three key aspects to weight loss. There's exercise, there's nutrition, and then there's a mindset aspect, which is about parasympathetic activation and all that stuff. But if somebody wants to lose weight, they know what they need to do. But it's such a struggle because there's a difference, again, between knowing what you need to do and actually getting your ass off the couch and doing the inner work you need to do, right? So the journey is not an intellectual one. It's an inner journey, and it's prioritizing it and not, wasting your time on social media for 2 hours a day.
And it's so both Abraham and Bashar talk about, follow your highest excitement, feel better in every moment, like find the path of least resistance, just feel a little better. And when we were chatting the other day about this, you were like, oh, maybe we should cover some of the like common misconceptions or mistakes that people make. And I know that I've definitely been, a super student. I get called to the hot seat whenever I go see Abraham. I know I'm on the vibration of this stuff. I listen to it all the time. And yet I'm still struggling sometimes going through this, not sure how to do I clear this with breath work, or do I just not ignore it, or do I whatever?
But that's a great point, because when you look at this world of spirituality, and I think I've been studying this stuff close to 20 years, which makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
But there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Right. There's you got to heal your past lives, and you got to do ancestral stuff, and you got to have the right chakras spinning the right way. And there's so many modalities and so many practitioners who are narrowly minded, believing my way is the way, right? And it's the way for everything, right? And it's easy to get caught up and lost in all of the spiritual mumbo jumbo, not to wrong any of it, right? But to understand that at the end of the day, everything comes down to the vibrational frequency that you're practicing, right? It always comes back to the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, where you're putting your focus, whether you're consciously aware of it or not.
Yeah. What are some of the tips and tricks that you've learned to sort of practice? Because I love Bashar and Abraham for that reason, that they seem to be really solid and really simple, and it's really clear. But for a lot of us, it feels like it's hard to sometimes, even it's like the diet, exercise, mindset. It's sometimes hard to follow, and I guess sometimes I definitely get tripped up, and a lot of people do. So what are some of the how do you deal with it when you kind of fall off, or when you feel like there's a trauma in the play? What are your tricks?
Yeah, I think most people aren't fully consciously aware of what they're practicing vibrationally. So one of Bashar's seminars, and I think this was dating back to 2011, 2012, it was called Flipping the Switch. And this is a process, one of the processes I use with people, where he said, paint the picture of your current reality on a screen, paint the picture of your desired reality on a secondary screen, and then compare the two screens, right? What is the difference between current version of you and that future timeline version of you? Right?
Yeah.
If current version of you feels unworthy, unsuccessful, fear of making a lot of money because people will judge you, whatever it is, these are aspects of your practiced frequency. So you cannot materialize that highest timeline reality while practicing aspects of that reality that oppose it. One of my favorite processes that I came up with and that I teach all of my facilitators is called an attraction point audit. And what you do is you look at all of the current and past circumstances in your life that may have a negative emotional charge. And what you do is you identify the dominant emotion in that circumstance. So you look at your past relationship. What was the worst part of that relationship? I was cheated on. How did that make me feel? Not good enough. Look at the relationship before that. Same question. You look at your past 3 employments. And what you'll notice is in 90 to 95% of people, the same 1 or 2 emotions keeps coming up over and over and over again. Some people that's powerlessness. Some people it's unworthy. Some people it's not good enough. That's what I call a dominant negative emotion. Right? And we've been practicing some of these emotions for so long that we stop noticing that it's there. So as a child, if you grew up with a super judgmental parent who always made you feel like you were never good enough, over time, you're so used to that feeling being present, you just stop noticing it. Right? And of course, that's resistance that's going to impact the type of reality you're going to create. So by using different types of processes like that, it's about identifying what you're practicing. That's the first step, because you can't change what you don't know you're practicing. And that's why I like using the word blind spot. And once you identify it, then it's about using the right tools to shift it. Another quick process. I love talking about split energy. Split energy is when part of us wants something, but part of us opposes it. So if you were in your first serious relationship and that person, let's say, cheated on you, that's an emotional trauma. right? So the subconscious mind, it wants to keep us safe. So it says, holy crap, look what happens when you fall in love. Look how dangerous that is. Look at the hurt that it caused. So from now on, anytime that you start to fall in love, I'm going to trigger a self-sabotaging pattern or an unsafety that's going to get in the way of that relationship. So the end result of that is that either it's like it puts up this energy wall between you and that thing that you want, and no matter how hard you try, you can't attract it, or it develops a self-sabotaging pattern where if it does show up, you kind of do things that mess it up. And I see that a lot. Almost every relationship client that I've worked with had that split energy. I see it a lot in finances and money and in success. And the way you can kind of dig it up, because again, it's unconscious, is you just ask the question. If I were to meet the ideal partner tomorrow and we were to start to fall in love, how does that feel unsafe? Oh, they'll abandon me. Oh, they might cheat on me. Oh, they'll take advantage of me. And as soon as those things pop up, you know that that's stuff you need to work through.
Could we do a quick test with me right now? Because I'm like,
yeah.
This is so fun. So for me, yeah, the biggest challenge right now is finances.
Yep.
And I know I have big split energy or some, weird stuff around it, not good enough. But if I was just go right into like, what would it feel like if I got the money? Is that what you're saying?
So let's try a few different things, right? Because there's more than one aspect of these things that you want to look at. There's always kind of a couple. So there's like split energy and the emotions are the two dominant things we want to look at. So do you have a number in mind of like, let's say in a year from now, where you want to be financially?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you paint? Let's do what we did earlier. We talked about flipping the switch. So right now, if you close your eyes and you kind of just load up a screen of your current reality and what that looks like and that feels like. And then I want you to put that screen away and load up a secondary screen of you in 12 months from now in the reality just as you would like it. And then take both of those screens and put them side by side. And if you analyze, you kind of take a step back and you're watching both of these screens and you look at the version of Shine on screen 1, current reality screen, and screen 2, what is the biggest difference you notice in that version of Shine? How does he feel? What is he doing differently? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. So the screen 1, I'm in a pretty like lovely, soft place right now where obviously it's beautiful, it's low stress in some ways. And screen 2 it feels like big, like airplanes and teams and people and money and like big business stuff. And what comes up is when I sort of try and overlap the two is like, whoa, I'm just not good enough. I'm not going to be able to handle it. I don't deserve it. It's just this whole, and so I can totally see that there's like a fear of success and wanting to keep myself safe and not put myself in a position where I would experience the negative belief that I have about that reality.
Okay, so the main emotional difference that you pick up on is not good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like scared. It's like, oh, I don't deserve that. I can't do it. I'm gonna let the people down. I'm like,
okay. So that's where I want to go next. So if I say the words, it's not safe to step into that reality, because if I do, what's the person that pops in your head?
Yeah, I would die. Like I'm just not good enough to take care of all that stuff.
Okay. So it's not safe to step into that because if I do, I'll die. Okay.
And that's superstar says it's like,
no, but that's actually, those are words that come up
the
quite a
final
bit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When we do some of this probing work, but like those words, I'll die, they represent a sensation in your body.
Yeah.
Right. You can feel that sensation somewhere, right? Yeah. Where do you feel it?
In my heart.
Okay.
Like,
and think about, let's look at the subconscious mind for a second, and then we're going to dive into that. The subconscious mind's one of its primary roles, if not the primary role, is to keep you alive, right? It's to keep you safe. And the subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagination.
Sure.
So it's going to do whatever it can at all costs to keep you away from that reality.
Yeah.
If it triggers that feeling of that reality, oh my gosh, and like feel how your body wants to tense up when you think of that reality.
Yeah.
Well, that tension is you cutting off your receptivity mode. It's pulling your energy field in.
Yeah.
So we need you wide and open and excited and receptive, right? Which can't happen if you've got that feeling of I'll die.
Yeah.
You want to clear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's label it as I'll die. I'm going to grab another piece of paper here.
Can I share something quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So what's funny, it's kind of funny, is my dad actually died because he had cancer, but he was not doing his life's work. He wasn't doing what he loved. And when he got the news that he was going to die, he thought he had 3 months. He ended up having 3 years. He went all into his art and his like heart work and created this beautiful masterpiece before he died.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that like I'm like, it's because but like what feels like that reality is that he died because he wasn't doing his big vision. He wasn't doing his big project, or that's the story I have. And my brain is telling me that if I do the big project, my big vision, I'll die there.
But
So
that's the big aha.
Yeah.
Because your subconscious mind may have associated your dad and doing his life's work and death.
Maybe.
Right? It might have put those. So for example, one person that I worked with, for her, it was, she recognized, she was an entrepreneur. She recognized that every time she was going to sign a big deal in her business, that she would mess it up. And it was an obvious self-sabotage, but she couldn't understand why it kept happening. So in our probing work, we went all the way back to childhood. And she said, yeah, my father passed away when I was like, I don't remember, it was like 10. But I've done therapy. I've healed all of that now. And I said, okay, just tell me about it. And they were a very wealthy family. The father had invested the entire family fortune into a sure shot deal. And that sure shot deal ended up not being sure shot. He lost the entire family fortune. And then because of the trauma from that, had a heart attack and passed away. So her subconscious mind associated big money with death.
Sure.
Okay. So let me just ask you this, just one question, and see if anything surfaces. Is if you were doing your heart's work, okay, regardless if it's that business, doesn't matter what it is, because you could wake up tomorrow and it could be something different, but doesn't matter what it is. If you're doing your heart's work, does that feel unsafe in any way?
If I'm doing my heart's work, that doesn't feel unsafe.
That doesn't feel unsafe. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to check that to make sure you didn't make that association.
No.
So you want to process that I'll die feeling?
Sure.
Anything else coming up? I can tell your brain is spinning.
Oh no, it's interesting because my mom was a workaholic and was super like on the other end of the spectrum. And my dad was more like homebody and took care of the kids and did his thing. But she didn't die, but she got to the point of like almost suicidal after my dad died. And so I feel like I've got this like weird push pull of like going too far into one. Anyway, it's just interesting.
But that's another potential source of split energy. That's something I had to work through. So after doing tech for 10 years and working 60-hour weeks for I don't even remember how long, yes, it paid off. But then in my personal development practice, there was a lot of fear of becoming that busy again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there might be some more stuff to process in all of this.
Yeah.
But let's start with that I'll die feeling, because that's an obvious one we want you to let go of.
Yeah.
So 0 to 10, how strong would you say that feeling is?
Like 9.7.
Okay, I'll round it up to 10. And where do you feel that in your body?
My chest, mostly.
Okay. And we're going to do a mix of what I call belief tree process, which is one of my process, and a little bit of tapping work. You're familiar with tapping, probably.
Yep.
Okay, let's do a little bit of tapping. So just follow along with me and repeat after me. So just tap, right tap. I got this feeling in my chest.
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 It's not safe to be successful.
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 Because if I do,
I'm going
to die.
I'm going to die.
Got that feeling in my chest. I'm going to die.
Got that feeling in my chest. I'm going to die.
Been hanging it on for a long time.
Hanging on for a long time.
That feeling in my chest.
Feeling in my chest.
Feels like I'm going to die.
Feels like I'm going to die.
That's what I believe.
That's what I believe.
If I'm successful, I'm going to die.
If I'm successful, I'm going to die.
That's what part of my mind believes.
It's part of my mind believes.
I'm buying into it too.
Buying into it too.
So do you think other people are successful and they don't die?
It's very, very true.
I've had lots of success and I'm still kicking.
Got
So
it.
maybe that belief doesn't make any sense.
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 Maybe I can start to let that go.
Maybe I can start to let that go.
That I can be successful and prosper.
I can be successful and prosper.
That feeling in my chest.
The feeling in my chest.
Maybe I can start to let that go.
Maybe I can start to let that go.
Because success is perfectly safe.
Success is perfectly safe.
Nick knows it.
Nick knows it.
My inner being knows it.
My inner being knows it.
Maybe I can start to see that too.
Maybe I can start to see that too.
Okay, so keep tapping there. Take a deep breath. We started off at a 10. What number would you give it now? Has it shifted at all?
Yeah, like a 8.
8. Okay. So this feeling in my chest, I feel like I'm going to die. I feel that way because what pops in your head?
When I overlay the two images.
Yeah, don't think about it. Don't overlay. Just tap and just like, what's the first thing that pops in your head? This feeling, I feel this way because.
I feel this way because I'm not safe because I did this for the last 10 years running our events business, and it was really hard. And being busy and being responsible was really intense, mostly because of my own triggers and my response to dealing with those triggers.
Right.
And so that I think there's a big fear there of like going back into an intense environment that will.
Success is hard and intense.
Success is hard and intense.
Hard and intense.
Hard and intense.
I've been doing this for 10 years.
Doing this for 10 years.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Hard and intense.
Hard and intense.
It's not easy.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Not easy.
But maybe it can be.
Maybe it can be.
Right. One of the things I love to share with entrepreneurs, especially in the early game, is that you can't create an easy business from the vibration of struggle and effort.
Right.
Most entrepreneurs are trying to work their ass off to make it so that they can get to a place where it's easy.
Right.
But you can't get there from the vibration of struggle and hard work. Right. So the fact that the 10 years was a grind and hard work and efforting, is it because that's the nature of a business, or that's just a practice vibration?
Definitely a practice vibration. I know lots of people, I see lots of people who it feels like they've got a much different, better handle on things. And I want to learn how to do that.
And because it's available to them, does that make it available to you too?
Definitely.
Awesome. So maybe it can be easy.
Maybe it can be easy.
Maybe I can learn to allow it to be easy.
Maybe I can learn to allow it to be easy.
Maybe I'm doing that right now.
Maybe I'm doing that right now.
So maybe I can start to let that go.
Maybe I can start to let that go.
Feeling that I'm going to die. Because that's just based on old bullshit.
That's based on old bullshit.
Doesn't have to be true.
Doesn't have to be true.
I create my own reality.
I do create my own reality.
I just got to learn how to be a better creator.
Gotta learn how to be a better creator.
Take a deep breath. Still at 8, or is it shifting a little bit more?
It's like a 5.
5, good. Okay. And does it still feel like it's that feeling I'm going to die, or is it shifted to something different?
Feels like I'm not safe and I should be really, really careful, and I can't let myself go there just yet.
Okay.
I have to be safe.
Can't go there.
Can't go there.
Don't want to go there.
Go there.
Not safe to go there.
Not safe to go there.
It's not safe to go there.
Not safe to go there.
Because if I do,
Because if I do,
then what? The first thing that pops in your head.
I'll die.
I'm going to die if I go there.
Yeah.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. And I feel that way because
I don't know how to handle my emotions to the point where I don't get stressed and overwhelmed about it. But that's not true anymore.
right?
I'm doing
So
better.
take a deep breath and acknowledge that. That's not true.
That isn't true.
I've got a giant support networks of healers at my fingertips.
This is true. I do have a company that has a bunch of
Okay.
healers as a part of it.
So this belief that I might die, still a 5?
No.
What number do you give it now?
I get 2.
2. Okay. And then is there anything else coming to the surface?
It feels like it's safer, and I just have to do a good job of taking care of myself and going slowly so that I don't lose my balance. But honestly, your post the other day was a big breakthrough for me. We can talk about that after, but
Sure.
just not attacking each negative instance and feeling like I have to have an argument with myself and fix it in the moment, and just like complete kind of ignoring it and just like changing the subject.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because this is a really good topic.
Yeah.
Most people come to the world of law of attraction because they want to create the reality.
Yeah.
They want to mold their reality into what they want their reality to be, into what their mind believes this is my ideal reality. Right? So we get hyper fixated on outcomes. We lock into how we think this is how things should go. We get very rigid and we grab onto the steering wheel very tightly because we want to be the ones who tell reality this is where you're supposed to go. Right? And I remember every single one of my startups that I was part of, every failure, once I experienced the acquisition, was 1,000,000% necessary for me to become the version of me I had to become in order to experience the acquisition. And if I look at my relationship with Anik, like our relationship is absolutely amazing, like incredible synchronicities, like, but our relationship could not have happened if we hadn't both gone through failed marriages first. Right? So there's our higher mind, our higher self, who is the one who's really the one who's supposed to be driving the vehicle of our reality. And then there's us who are hyper fixated on what things need to look like. And there's a pivot that happens there at some point. When you really realize that, you understand that when you let go of that steering wheel, and this doesn't mean not having intentions for what you want in your reality and what you want to experience and what you desire. But when you let go of the steering wheel and start experiencing reality through what I call organic unfolding, it's like the current of the stream that you're floating down. Like Abraham Hicks uses that analogy, let yourself float downstream. The speed at which you flow down the stream goes from a trickle to like full blast. And it's because the journey to where we are to where we want to be is not a physical journey. It's not a journey about what we do or what we get done. It's a vibrational journey of who we're becoming. So Source orchestrates what we perceive as hardships as ignition points for our becoming. And by pushing against that contrast and wronging that contrast, what we're actually doing is we're not allowing ourselves to evolve down the path.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So having that awareness, at least for me personally, was a huge, what's the right word? A huge spark of awareness that greatly enhanced the speed at which things manifest for me, because there's no longer any judgment of what reality is and what's right and what's wrong and how it should be.
Mm.
Because what that does is that hyperfixates us, right?
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. I mean, for me, the most obvious one is when I'm in a negative or low energy state and I feel like I'm not in a position to do the things that I see that version of myself doing, or that I would expect investors or customers or team members to expect of me. When I feel like I'm not in that state, I can get so negative. And if I just let my mind run, it's like, you're like stupid. You can't do anything. You can't even like do this. It's just so like hardcore. And so for the last little bit, I've been trying to kind of like unwind some of that and see where that's coming from. But when I saw your post, I was like, what if I just don't acknowledge that? Like, what if I just sort of like, okay, like, yeah, I see that's there. And, what would it feel like to have all the money right now? Oh, it would feel so relaxing. What would it feel like to be really nice to myself? Oh, it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
And I just started doing that over probably 5-6 days ago. And it's been, I mean, I don't know what I'm excited to hear like your toolbox of what else is in there, but it's been really transformative to just not give that attention. And it's like having an argument that just gets worse when you're like with someone and you're both off. It's like it doesn't really resolve itself, versus just giving space, and then you come back when you're in a high vibe, it's not even there. It's kind of a weird mind thing for me right now.
That's the calibration work that a lot of people are missing, right? Especially people who are entrepreneurs and coaches. Everybody's so busy on, what do I need to create for content? And what do I need to post today? And what do I need to do to get clients? And they're forgetting to do the calibration work and the vibrational work, which you can't have one without the other. And the more calibrated you are, right, the easier things are going to flow to you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's what is it that Abraham Hicks says? Get into alignment and then.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of the same thing. For me, my first 90 minutes of my day, calibration. I wake up, I take 10 seconds to look at my phone and make sure there wasn't any phone calls from the kids or anything important.
Yeah.
Check what comes in. I put the phone away. I go downstairs. I make a lemon water. If I'm hungry, I'll just have fruit in the morning till lunch. And then my focus for the first 90 minutes is focus on vibrational practice, getting like a 30 to 60 minute walk in. And then that sets my tone. It's like it clears my field.
Yeah.
And then my level of productivity is just so much higher after that.
Yeah. I find the same. If I wake up and I get into stuff and my energy's not clear, I can spiral. But if I take that time, it really makes a difference. I'll do the same walk or a drive and just try and get into that like receiving mode and just let the general positive thoughts kind of flow through and just build up but do you
just to throw in, and to be consciously aware of what state you are in. So for me, like I'm dominantly in that state, but the days where I recognize that I'm not, I don't send an email to my mailing list, or I don't try to write an article. I recognize that if I'm not in my peak state, then I go out in nature and I do other things that aren't relevant to my business.
Yeah. I was literally in bed last night and I just worked from like 7 a.m. till 3:30 a.m. So like a crazy day of just real productivity, and felt so good. And so like I couldn't stop. I was just like, it was a good feeling.
Source told me 90 minutes. They said, don't ever work more than 90 minutes without taking a 30-minute break.
Oh, nice.
And I recognize that like, it's hard for me to take breaks in 90 minutes, because when that flow is there, you don't want to cut that flow off.
Right.
But I noticed that if I continue beyond like 90 minutes, beyond 2 hours,
Yeah.
there's a quality that starts to like
Yeah.
diminish.
Yeah.
Right. So I've made sure now that in my daily practice that I schedule 2 or 3, I call them work segments in my day. And then I try to stick to that structure because I know that keeps me in optimal vibrational shape for production.
Yeah. Of course, that's like taking breaks in between. But I was in bed and I just had like a really great day. It was the first work, like powerful day that I'd had in a few weeks because we had been traveling and other stuff. And so it was just it was a nice feeling of like, okay, I'm back. Like this is like the me that I kind of know is in there. But then I was like, okay, for some reason the thought came into my mind to just like name this version of me as like a random name, and then name because I throughout the day, I usually, when I have a really high energy day like that, the next day I'll be more tired. I'll have less energy, and sometimes I'll start to get down on myself. So I was kind of mentally preparing yesterday of like, okay, this is lovely, and if I don't feel this exact way tomorrow and I have lower energy and I can't get into all these like creative workflows, it's okay. Like I'm just trying to prepare. And so I literally had like 2 names. I think it was like Mike and Steve or something, whatever, something silly. And I was like, okay, well, if Mike is softer and doesn't have as much energy, well, he's still good at like going for walks, talking to people, doing, more like admin stuff, doing simpler stuff. And Steve is better for these types of things and whatever. Right. And I was trying to like pre-pave that no matter where I was, there were things that were good from that state and that it would be okay. And so that was funny last night.
Yeah, it's accepting the version of you who shows up in whatever moment you're showing up in.
Yeah. So what do you do when, like, so the biggest challenge for me, we had our big events. We were like full on gonna go like make these amazing big events. We did massive ones. They were super successful. And then the universe was just like, no. Both venues said, you can't come back. They didn't give a reason. It didn't make any, like there was no logical sense. I got into a channeling state. I just asked what's going on here. And it basically said, hey, like this has been great. These events are really powerful. And your mission here is not just this. There's other things that you're working on, this technology company. You have to focus on that. And I got such a clear message that the only thing you need to do right now is go and focus on investors. That's it. Don't make any money. Don't focus on anything. Just focus on investors. And before that, I was like, oh, investors, like I'll get to that, but I'm so busy with events that I just don't have the time. And then as soon as I got that clarity of just focus on investors, I physically like couldn't do it. I didn't have any other responsibilities. Nope, nothing was taking my time. I was like, couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself into a state where I felt good about, and I would, eventually like do little bits, but it wasn't, I could tell it wasn't in the flow. And then I started to realize, oh my God, I've got all these limiting beliefs about investors and success and da 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 da. And that's when I started to then think, oh gosh, do I need to like fix some of this? Do I need to go in? And so now I'm kind of doing what you're doing, but do you also find that there's a time to actually go in and unwind some of these like
beliefs? There's ebbs and flows, right? So from like 2019 to like 2022, 23, I was very focused on my coaching practice and the growth of my coaching practice. And, I trained over 200 facilitators and like the theme then in that part of my life or my reality was that. And then some point 22, 23, like all of that kind of just like dissipated away. And like my energy was completely shifted to like my family, but also my own inner work. Right. So it's like reality goes through these ebbs and flows. It's not this constant climb of like evolution. It's understanding, there's energetic impacts and energetic themes, and there's so much going on. something like through Anik's channeling that they said the other day was that reality is not going back. Right? We are in it since the COVID era. It's created more uncertainty in our planet than we've ever seen in our lifetime. A lot of people are struggling to find their identity in reality, who they want to be, where they want to go, how to create the reality that they want. And we have to become okay with that uncertainty, because what happened is it's messed with people's nervous systems, right? People have been dominantly on edge since COVID. And now we're like in this energetic time of healing from all of that. And there's a lot coming to the surface, and people need to decide whether they, which path that they want to go down. Do they want to go down the path where they're going to keep stuffing it down and not create the reality that they want, or process? And sometimes, our higher selves kind of rip away the distractions in our reality, and sometimes that distraction can be a business in order to get us to go internal and focus on what we really need to be focused on.
Yeah, it's been so intense. Like in our events business, we've never lost money ever, and it's always been like it's just coming to us. And then that happened, and then we kind of did a bunch, and then we lost money for the first time ever. It was just a few $100, but it was still like, well, that doesn't usually happen. And then again, like another big artist was like, yeah, we're doing a big tour. Like we had a big like potential to do a thing, and that would bring in a year's salary for two people with just a few shows, and then canceled. Like, no, sorry, we're not coming. I'm like, what's going on? And so we haven't done like a full-on big event since May, but somehow we're just
there's a big theme of healing scarcity and lack right now that's coming up for a lot of people. My last 2 Substack articles were exactly on that. Yesterday's one was about money. But we can't step into a new earth where 90% of the population is stuck in a vibration of lack.
Yeah.
And the only way that can be called up to heal is by putting us in circumstances where we have to face the lack and the scarcity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's never been this like crazy and intense. But at the same time, obviously we're still here and we're blessed, and things are going really well in lots of ways. But we've just been following those breadcrumbs, following our excitement, and literally, like I say, I'm going to call this chapter in our book like Angels and Miracles, because it's just angel after angel, people just, oh, you need $5,000? Here you go. Like, oh, you need this? Here you go. Like, what? Like, it's crazy. Like the story. I mean, people, yeah, you'd believe it, but like the synchronicities are insane.
Yeah, and even though it feels like this is like we'll call it the toughest time ever for a lot of people, we're also more powerful than we've ever been. Yeah. So it's like, from a law of attraction vantage point, it's like a superhero who learns about their power, but their power is so new they can't control it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we're attuning to a place where we're more powerful creators, but that goes in 2 directions. Because if you're a more powerful creator, but you've got a bunch of vibration and frequency of lack stuffed down into your attraction point,
right?
Then like that's going to be present in your reality.
Yeah.
So like the more that people look inwards and face what's in their attraction point as all these things are coming up, it's also like the more quickly that our realities evolve as well.
And so the thought that comes up is, now I feel like way more solid than I have, and I feel way more just like clear and focused, and there's physical nuggets that have shown up that are like, okay, this is leading somewhere, and I know it always works out. But I'm wondering, like, is that because I did all of this unwinding and inner work and trying to like
100%? It should be 80% inner work, 20% external. And if I asked you, if I asked you, like, for your business, your goal right now is finding an investor, right? Or multiple investors.
Yes.
Have you pre-paved those investors?
Not enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing you're going to do is you have to pre-pave it. You have to get clear on, like, this is the investor I want. This, like, you have to tell physical reality. You have to create that energetic mold of, this is the investor that I'm looking for. Right. And can you do that quickly in your mind right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now hold the picture of that investor in your mind. How real can you make that investor feel?
There's definitely like scary demons like around, because that's a big fear point.
This is the work.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need to hold the signature of that investor in the same way I'm holding up this pen. You need to make that investor feel as real as that pen.
Yeah, yeah.
And every day when you do your practice, you're going to hold up that pen, you're going to look at that pen, and when those demons show up, you then look at those demons.
Right.
Because those are the fears, that's the resistance, that's the split energy, that's the emotions. You have to clean that stuff out.
Right.
And the more real that that investor feels, in the same realness as this pen, that's when the confidence builds. That's what I call knowing it into existence.
So I was really challenged, and I went for this long drive for a few days, and I just got into a channeling state, and I asked my higher self, like, okay, what do I do here? Because I can't, like, this can't keep going. Like, something needs to shift. And I asked, like, how do I clear this? How do I figure this out? Because it's just so, I was getting bombarded. Like, every day felt like I was just attacked by my thoughts. It was super intense. And it said, okay, like, you can't fight it. You can't clear it. You can't, like, get it. But what you can do is just say, acknowledge it and say, okay, like, what's the fear? Oh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And then instead of like fighting it, just hear it out and listen to it. And then start to, like, calmly from an elevated state, be like, okay, well, is that true? Is this real? Like, like, really look at it and see it. And I know Bashar talks about this, as you kind of like need to see the belief system for what it is, because any fearful belief system is just not true. And if you go deep enough, you'll just, and once that's unveiled, you're like, oh, that it kind of dissolves, because it's obviously not true.
Reality is just a mirror. Right? So, like, really the ideal state is to embrace it.
Right.
And I know that's easier said than done, because nobody wants to embrace the aspects of a reality that we don't want. But, like, once you embrace it, it's like you accept it. And once you accept it, then your energy field opens, and then you can learn from it. Right?
Yeah. Interesting. Crystal and I were doing this thing when it was super intense for both of us. And we would literally, like, ring, ring, hello. And then you just say the thing, like, just full on, and just say whatever's, like, what the feeling is, but like no filter, but no response. It's like, thank you, goodbye. And then ring, ring, hello. And then you do the next one, and it's a little less. And then eventually it just gets to, like, oh, that's not true. And you feel better just by voicing it, just by saying it. But again, I'm super hesitant to go deep into those practices, because I spent a lot of years trying to, like, breathe and fix and, like, fight those things.
Yeah, it's never about fixing. Right? It's
never what?
Never about fixing.
Right.
Nothing is ever broken. There's not even such thing as a block. Right? Because, like, people look at healing or manifestation in terms of blocks. Like, there is no block. Because, like, if you think of, let's say, like, you're blocking the manifestation, like, you're blocking abundance, but you're creating, like, it's just, how do I even word this properly? I want to make sure I say it right. You create it all. Right? So both ends of the stick are always available. Right? So it's not about eliminating a block. It's about recalibrating what you're attuning to.
Right.
Right? When you look at something as a block, you look at it as something that's broken or
You need to break through, you need to fix it.
You have to push
Rid of
against, right?
Yeah.
And it softens it up when you understand the energetics that there is no block. There's just recalibration.
And that's where your practice, so and it was just a tweet or whatever, it was like a short thing that basically said, if you're trying to manifest, but your foundation is that there's lack and you need to solve that, you need to fix it. It's starting from a shake. It's not going to work because it's a shaky foundation. So you have to first start, like, instead of saying, oh, we're broke, we need money, what do we do? And then like have a brainstorm session. Instead of that, it's like, oh, what does it feel like to have so much abundance? What does it feel like to be wealthy and rich? Okay, now what would feel fun right now that matches that frequency, that is and sort of trusting that taking that emotional path will guide the inspiration, the ideas. And that's really been transformative. I wasn't doing it before.
The minute, and that's a big mistake that a lot of people are making, is the minute you try to manifest something to correct something else. So you manifest from, I need to manifest money because I don't have enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Or I need to manifest a partner because I'm tired of being single. You're automatically planting the seed of your manifestation in soil of lack. Your starting point is lack.
Right.
When your starting point is lack, then you're shooting yourself in the foot before you even start the process to anything. Right. So you have to plant your seed in the soil of overflow. And the way you do that is by setting your intention from a place where you're appreciating your reality, you're enjoying what is, and the state of being, it's more of a, wouldn't it be nice if I had lots of money this month? Right? Feel the energetic difference between, wouldn't it be nice if I had lots of money this month, versus I need to manifest money because I don't have enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And you're making the shift based on how things feel.
Yeah. I love that. So when things come up and when these negative emotions pop up, do you yourself, and do you recommend kind of doing the just as quickly as possible without kind of acknowledging or dealing with it, like just recalibrating, like focus on that thing? Or do you recommend actually going in and doing the recalibrating, or does that happen when you're in an elevated state afterwards?
Whenever there's a discomfort, like a negative emotion, I always like sit with it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Where did this come from? What is this trying to tell me? Because it's like Abe says, like, emotions are our guidance system. So anytime you have a discomfort, whether it's a fear, an emotion, or something else, then that's telling you that you have a belief, a perception, a story going on in your mind that's contradicting the reality you want to create. Right? So for you, the discomfort was, oh, if I picture this business that I'm trying to grow and get to this end result, there's this feeling like I'm going to die. Right? Well, that's a discomfort that's saying, oh, Shine's practicing a belief that there's unsafety there.
Yeah.
And you have to look at that stuff. That's the game of frequency. That's how our whole entire reality gets created.
And by looking at it, do you mean more just practicing the vibration, like practicing the feelings of, basically what I'm asking is, like, are you more focused on just like from wherever you are going in the direction of what you want and just building that positive side, and that sort of automatically cleans up the negative side? Or is it more of going into
yeah, I get what you're saying. Here's the journey. The journey is, you set your intention for your desire, you pre-pave the desire, you dream about the desire, and then you begin walking the vibrational path. So what that looks like is, you're going to get an impulse. It'd be an impulse to email a potential investor. Whatever the impulse is, it's your job to act on that impulse. And you're going to notice that when that impulse comes in, there might be feelings of unworthiness.
Mm.
might be unsafety.
Mm.
Right? So the vibrational path is physical reality presenting to you contrast or different types of circumstances. It can be inspired impulses to help you evolve into who you're supposed to become, the version of you who's a match to the end result reality.
Mm.
So reality is going to reflect back to you. And this is where a lot of people stagnate. You know how Abraham Hicks says, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Mhm.
Well, discomfort, people interpret that as a no, right? So let's say you had somebody give you the name of an investor
Mhm.
and they're like, call this guy. He's going to be interested. He's a perfect fit. He can help you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, cool. And then you sit down and make the phone call, and all of a sudden, nerves shoot to the surface because that I'm going to die feeling creeps in, right? From an unknown place in your subconscious. Well, a lot of people interpret that discomfort as, oh, it must be a no because it's not a hell yes anymore because I feel the discomfort.
Yeah.
And then they end up not making any moves in their reality, and then
Mm.
they stagnate and nothing happens.
Right.
Right. So the fact that that feeling is coming up is there to help you evolve into the version of you who matches that end desire.
Mm.
And that friend giving you that card might be because, yes, that's the right investor, or it might be because Source is orchestrating that for you to clear what's coming to the surface in that phone call.
Mm.
And it's not our job to know.
Right.
Our job is to be present with the unfolding.
Mm.
Right? And present not only means externally present, but
Yeah.
it also means internally present with what we've got going on.
Mm.
Because the path, again, to you to that end result is not about what you do externally. It's about the shifting that you go through, the evolution of the version of you till you eventually become the version of you who's the match to the desire.
Mm. I love that.
Does that answer your question? Is that where you want it to go?
Yeah, because so it sounds like you're saying it's like the first steps are all kind of positive, where you're just focusing on what you want, you're focusing on getting in that vibration, you're like doing all the work is focusing on what you wanted, and then where the cleaning up comes in is then once you get the inspiration, if fears or doubts come in, then it's like, okay, what's this about? And just holding space for that, or doing whatever one of these practices that's more neutral, because I used to try and forcefully like feel like I needed to clear it or breathe or whatever. So it's one of these more neutral like belief trees, like, okay, what's is that true, is this da da da, and unwinding it so that it feels better. That's super interesting. Yeah, because last night I got this email late, or saw this thing that there was an investor pitch today at 10 a.m. And in the past, I've been like, oh, like, nope, like just nope, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
For whatever reason. I'm like, I can't. It's too whatever. And last night I'm like, oh, like it's 1 a.m. I can work on this till 3 and then get up for 10, no problem. And we had a meeting at 10, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'll see if Nick can change, and then we'll figure it out. And it works. And then it was actually great. And then I got a chance to pitch and meet the people. And so that felt, but this is so interesting because I've heard Bashar say the proper way to use a pendulum is to like put it down and not use it. And I think what he's saying is, if you have a pendulum and it's going yes or no, you're not getting source energy. You're getting whatever you're feeling right now, which may or may not be, it might just be a trigger, but it doesn't mean that it's a no or a yes. It just, someone was telling me the other day, they attracted this woman, she blah, blah, blah. And I was going back to what Abraham said, in that when you're out of alignment, another person who's out of alignment is going to feel like a hell yes, because it's a match, but it
100%.
doesn't mean that it's a good match. It's just a match to where you're at.
Everything's always a match to where we're at. I had a friend, this would have been maybe 10 years ago, a friend who had bought a house. And the house closed, everything was looking good. And then a few days before they were supposed to move in, there was water in the basement. And they're like, Nick, I don't know what to do. I'm trying my pendulum, and I can't hear source. What do you think source would want me to do?
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, well, it doesn't matter. Because if you go in there from the frequency of, this is the best house purchase I've ever made and everything is going to work out magically, that's going to be the outcome. If you go in from the vantage point of doubt and uncertainty and fear, then that's going to be the outcome, right? People have a tendency to give their power over or to away to source, thinking that source is supposed to tell us what to do. And that's a big mistake. You don't look for signs, you line up.
Yeah, we are source. We're the creators.
100%.
Yeah, I've definitely done that from time to time. Wow. We were just in Tulum area, and we were with a group, and every day we just had this amazing group that were just super dialed. And every day we said, okay, best day ever. Like, let's manifest the best. This is going to be the best day ever. And literally every day, each segment of each day was like the best ever.
Of course. That's pre-paving.
It was so good. Everyone was like, whoa, this is unique. Like, you don't often have this like series of epic days with these people where everyone's kind of getting along. And then there was, tiny bits of hiccups, but it felt like it was just sprinkles for the, like every day was just better and better and more in each segment. And I thought, oh man, that's something to take home and not just do when you're on vacation.
Yeah, we've done some live in-person collective meetups, and for the next one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a little mailing list maybe for like 6 weeks before and send an email to everybody every day for the 6 weeks leading up to it, telling them to start saying like, this is going to be the best weekend or the best week ever.
Yeah, I love that. So that's super helpful. So for anyone listening, and just for my own brain, the kind of steps are: number one, identify kind of the best ever vision and just play with that and workshop that and just create that so that it feels real, and just keep playing with that and start general, but just keep building up this vision, this idea, and practice the vibration of what you want and what it feels like, and then get inspired.
And then don't ignore the discomforts. So when you're tuning into that vision, if you're recognizing there's a discomfort there, you want to look at that discomfort and process it. You want to get to a place where you can look at that vision and you feel nothing other than excitement.
Right. And the method of processing it is sort of to acknowledge it and see it and let it be heard, but then also, like an adult would to a child, be like, well, there's not actually a monster under the bed. Let's look. Okay, yeah, that's not real. Like more like neutral observer. Like, okay, let's just
and if it's an emotion, you could like if you're a collective member, I've got a tapping library. You can go and use the tapping library, or you can sit in one of the clearing meditations, or and some of them it's just awareness. Some of them they'll come up and, oh wow, I didn't know I believed that, and then that's enough to shift it.
Right.
Other times it might be a big heavy emotion like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, and you might need some support to get it clear. But you have to look at these things.
And then wait for the inspiration, for the inspired action, follow through on that, and same thing
and when you follow through, if the end result is not the end result you were hoping for, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means the failure is feedback.
Yeah.
Right. So the end result that you get for the action that you take is there to communicate something to you always.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I got when I'll do this receiving mode meditation where I'll just meditate on my third eye and the breath. And then I'll start to, if I'm in a good enough state, I'll start to receive positive thoughts. And then if I like go for a drive or a walk, or if I'm just already close to there, I can start to, the positive thoughts that are more general become more specific. And then sometimes they start to like clean up different bits. And then sometimes they'll get to a place where it just calms down. It feels like Neo in the Matrix. And I just hear, what do you want to talk about? And nothing. And then I can just ask questions like I'm Abraham Hicks to myself, and I'll get answers. It's super fun and it's super clear. And one of the questions, oh shoot, where was I going with this? Anyways, it popped up.
Do you do that every day?
I try to, but I definitely don't get into that state every day. I probably get into that state like at least once a month, hopefully more. But it's
I would say do that way
great.
more often if you can.
Oh yeah, I try and do that as much as possible. Well, it's interesting because when I first had that real clear message to go for investors, and then I was challenged with doing that, I would just go for these long drives and just try and get into that state. But what I realized is I was actually sometimes using it like it wasn't an inspired thing. It was like I was kind of using it as a crutch.
Coming from effort, maybe.
I was safe in my car. Like I didn't have to think about work. I didn't have to be around Crystal, my partner. I didn't have to be at home where there's triggers. I could just be in this safe little place, listening to whatever, thinking whatever. And I would just sort of be away from everything. And I feel like I overdid it.
Right.
Looking like an addict, like looking for that next hit of like source. But I wasn't I wasn't allowing the flow, and I was definitely not looking at any of the negative stuff. I was trying to just like ignore it and only like get into either I was like, I want to be channeling all the time, or just distracting and just like neutral and not thinking about it. And it got to a point where I actually got my first ever car accident, which is like, I've never been in a car accident. It was very mild and everyone's fine. But like, it was my car was like my thing. That was my like support animal, like my emotional support dog. And to like have that happen, I was like, okay, there's such a clear message here that I need to integrate more. I need to be able to like live a normal life. And if I'm just running from my mind to this safe blankie of a car, that's not healthy either, even though sometimes I'll get into a channeling state. And so that's what kind of like sparked this whole thing of like looking at things differently. But yeah, super interesting.
So
yeah,
another piece of homework that you could do is feel the presence of your investor, like sitting next to you at the table. Right? You want to feel the presence of that person all over the place.
I love that. Yeah.
And the more real that person feels, the closer you are to the materialization of it.
Yeah. And that's such a good reminder of where my mindset was at, because previously, like probably, I don't know, a month or 2 or 3 ago, my whole focus was like, how do I find the blocks to that investor? So
yeah,
it wasn't,
and you know what that does? It puts you immediately in the state of lack.
Yeah. So it was like, how can I preemptively heal whatever I need to heal so that I can then get into the state so that I can then attract the investor, versus, okay, I can just get into that state right now. Like I don't need to heal anything. That was the big one. Yeah. So interesting. Well, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I think I've given you lots to process and think about.
It's so great. And hopefully people watching will have some ahas themselves. Cause I know there's a lot of people are working through these. You said too, you've gotten more one-on-one requests.
Yeah. And a lot of them are coaches. So like right now there's a lot of coaches and facilitators who are struggling. A lot of spiritual people are struggling.
Yep.
And there's a little bit of a mentality of like, well, I'm a coach and I help other people, so I shouldn't have to get help from anybody else. I should be able to fix myself, right?
Yeah.
And like that's so far from the truth. For me, I know that I would not have evolved the way that I do. And even now when something comes up, I'll go get somebody else to facilitate, because when it's our own stuff, we can't see our own blind spots, right? Yeah. So that's just a little bit of a reminder to people who are listening, who are coaches and facilitators and healers, to not be afraid to reach out or join a community like the Collective where you're being supported like every day.
Yeah. I definitely had some spiritual ego going on where I thought like, oh, there's no one who can help me. Like I'm special. It's like, what are you talking about? It's so funny. I feel like, wow. Yeah. I've shifted so much since all that. Wow. I really appreciate this. Thank you for
my pleasure. This was a lot of fun. I've got a few ideas coming through. We can talk about it after our call. Yeah, definitely. We can stop the recording and then keep jamming if you want.
Okay, everyone. Well, we'll have the links in the description for all the stuff. Thecollective.com, I'm guessing.
No, Higher Mind Productions. I'll send you a link there. I'll get you set up.
Okay, so we'll get all the links in there. Check out Nick Breau. He's awesome. Much love,
Good. Awesome.
Stop recording.